Alright, you guys, listen to me now when I say this. Rafinha will always be my client, and that's just on period. Because we need to talk about what we have just seen from our true captain against Alaves. But first, if this is your first time coming across my channel or watching one of my videos, hi guys, I am Just Max, and on this channel I talk about football from the La Liga to Prem, UCL, but it's always going to be Vizca Barca for me. If this is something that you're interested in or you're a culé, please stick around, be my friend, be my homie. I would love to grow this channel with you. But first, let's dive into what we have just seen from Hansi Flick's FC Barcelona in La Liga against Deportivo Alaves. Let me tell you, I am not still recovered from what we saw in midweek against Chelsea. I'm going to be honest about that. That has bothered me all the week long. And when I saw the midfield that Hansi Flick set up for this game, I did not have enough confidence that it was going to be a good day in the office, especially as Calais Alenia had already come out in midweek to talk about the fact that, we have seen Barcelona's weaknesses and we're going to exploit them. While I was not really bothered by what he said, essentially, I was just looking like that game against Chelsea just makes everybody think like, oh, now we can play Barcelona. So I was kind of worried as to what the psychological impacts of a loss like that would have, especially on this game. Needless to say, my worries were unfounded. Let's go into the lineup to see what Hansi Flick put together today before we talked about some of the things that I felt from this game. Of course, in goal, it was Joan Garcia, which is standard. We've come to expect it, especially since he's now returned back from injury. Eric Garcia replaced Jules Koundé in the right back position. It is, long overdue. Jules Koundé has not been to his scintillating best this season, but in any case, I feel like he needs rest. Pau Kubasi comes into that right center back position, which I think is his preferred position. Like, many people have been talking about Pau Kubasi this season and how he's not really been up to his best, but they fail to understand that Pau Kubasi has essentially been played out of position because he's been playing the left center back position. But today I think he was played in his right position and I think he had a good game. Gerard Martin does come into that left center back position, and maybe this is the combination that we have been missing for Barcelona, because I know that since Inigo Martinez left Barcelona this season, before the start of the season, Hansi Flick has been trying to figure out what is the right combination play, especially in the center-back position, that will give Barcelona the advantage as we try to maintain that high line. We've seen it now twice against now Deportivo Alaves and the last game in La Liga, and it seemed to work. Alejandro Balde was just a joy to watch on that left back position, and he just kept the Alaves players on their toes. I loved him today. Moving into the midfield is where I started to be like a little bit nervous, because I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be expecting with the trio of Marc Casado, Marc Pinal, and Dani Olmo. But needless to say, they did do what they needed to do. At the very least, they did do what they needed to do. But this season, we finally got to see our preferred front three of Lamine Yamal, Lewandowski, and Rafinha. And let me tell you now, I'm just going to take this from here. Rafinha will always be my client. I have been saying this since last season, and I will say it again. Since I started making videos, I love me some Rafinha. And the reason that I love this man so much is because he does all the intangible things. He does all the things that doesn't often get the bells and whistles, but once you take them out, it just makes you look so blah. You understand? Rafinha coming into the starting lineup today, there was an immediate injection of energy. The way he kept on pressing those Deportivo Alaves players, he just made them so uncomfortable on the ball. The way he makes runs, oh my God, they struggled to keep a hold of him the entire match, and he played only 60 minutes. And I'm sure when Hansi Flick finally took him off at the 60th minute, Deportivo Alaves were so fucking relieved, because Rafinha was just the pest that wouldn't go away. Now, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, because needless to say that Barcelona did not get up to a good start. Like, when we started the game, within the first 30 minutes, they had already conceded. The defense was caught sleeping. A set piece opportunity for Deportivo Alaves, just basically gives Pablo Ibanez just a very near 1v1, not even one, but like open net, like very 2 inches away from goal. Like, he was never going to miss from there. I thought immediately at that moment, like, are we about to see the collapse of Barcelona? Especially after what we saw at Stamford Bridge. We know that they have taken a lot of lashes in the media, especially someone like Lamine Yamal, who has been disrespected all over the place. I was kind of worried from them moving forward. Is this the beginning of the end? But at the same time too, I still have confidence, and this is where I want to return back to my heap and praise for Rafinha. That level of leadership, like, he carried this team on his back within that first half. He said, we're not going to put our head down, we're going to keep on pressing, and we're going to get the rewards, because his energy was just infectious, the runs he was making. And Barcelona would hit back immediately on Alaves within the first 10 minutes of play, and I love that. And it all stems from a long ball from, you won't believe it when I tell you, Gerard Martin. Gerard Martin finds this sensational long ball where we turn a moment of defense into attack, because don't get it twisted, Alaves were attacking in that first half now. Like, they really put together an attacking display in the first half. But Gerard Martin turns attack into defense into attack, where he puts together a long ball, finds Rafinha, out wide, and all he has to do is, run a little bit, make a cross into the box, and hopefully find someone who is well placed, right place, right time, to be able to deliver the finishing blow. Now, Dani Olmo does do a very haphazard job at it. He did not, get a clean touch at it. But fortunately enough, Lamine Yamal does something that we have currently been craving, which is, as a weak player, you just run into the space. If they allow you, run into those spaces and see what comes of it. And he had that ball just drop for him. And I love the confidence. I love the emphasis that he puts in that shot, where he takes it and he puts it in the roof of the net. It's that kind of shot that says, hey, y'all, keep quiet. I am Lamine Yamal, and I live for it. Especially after the week that he's had, I was here for it. But again, as a Rafinha glazer, it just gave me so much happiness to see that my guy is just back on the team and is already delivering immediate impact. And he would not stop there, honestly. That level of leadership, this is what we need, y'all. This is what we need. A leader that's going to make the people, follow him. Rafinha is a natural born leader. I'm sorry, this is almost starting to be like a Rafinha glazing session. It's not what I intended, but when you watch the game today and how the men followed his lead, everybody were on their Q's and their how do you say, is it Q's and their tens or their points and zeros, the X's and O's? Everybody was on point today, They followed his lead. Lamine Yamal was pressing. Granted that Robert Lewandowski did not have the best of games, but at the same time, he was still contributing, making combination plays. That run between him and the role between him and Alejandro Balde, this is Rafinha was still talking about. It just made it very easy for Alejandro Balde to do many of the things that Alejandro Balde knows how to do, which is to, bring the ball forward. Because guess what? He knew that he had a partner on that wing that is going to work with him. And I live for it. I'm sorry, I love me some Marcus Rashford, but Marcus Rashford does not give us the same levels of things that Rafinha gives us, which is that level of energy, that intensity, that never die attitude. And I was absolutely here for it. Now, I'm going to stop glazing Rafinha, because this is like, at this point, it's almost 8 minutes of pure Rafinha glaze, because there was other people who, did other things. And I wanted at this point highlight Joan Garcia. Now, there was an opportunity in the match where Alaves could have gone 2-1 up. And it was a very open net, very gaping goal. And this is where a good goalkeeper is always essential to everything that you're doing. Now, what happens is that, the Alaves had caught Barcelona's defense, which, by the way, was a little bit fragile today, especially in dead ball situations and set pieces. They did not do a very good job of clearing their lines, so there was an opportunity right there for Alaves to go 2-1 up. Joan Garcia has already gone to ground, misses the ball, and then the ball comes up. And the way he's able to make this reflex save, a double save even, I'm just so like, this is why we kept on saying and kept on begging Barcelona to sign Joan Garcia in the summer. He's a top tier goalkeeper. And the one thing I loved about him today is the way he marshaled and kept Barcelona in that first half. There were certain moments in that first half where Alaves could have just, taken advantage of us, but Joan Garcia kept us in play. Now, the second goal for Barcelona, Again, it does involve Rafinha, which I really love, and it comes down to Danny Olmo, Rafinha just being a pest, just making a whole lot of noise and putting the Alaves people off. But and then he just finds Danny Olmo, which, oh my days, I was so happy for Danny Olmo when he finally scored, only because I felt like up until this point, Danny Olmo has been a passenger in this game, and I felt like he could have, that would be the goal that he needed, to raise his confidence, to lift him up. And I was happy that Rafinha was able to provide that bit of a moment for him. But also, I was also happy too, because granted, we were under pressure on the other end. So to be able to once again turn pressure into attack, and all created by Rafinha. Again, this is a Rafinha glazing session, I'm just realizing, my God. But again, Danny Olmo, he did the thing. Barcelona did have an opportunity to go 3-1 up when Lamine Yamal did hit the post. It was a beautiful, again, combination plays today was just insane. Like the way, and one of the things that I want to also highlight too is the way Barcelona were able to be direct. Sometimes they were, tiki-taka here and there, but sometimes also they were so very direct in their play. And I will always be here for it. And that directness too comes with, I hate to say, Rafinha, because my man doesn't have time to be passing for the sake of passing. He just wants to go and, do the other thing at the other end of the... I'm sorry. Can you tell? I love me some Rafinha. I really do. But, it's all right. Okay, let's move on. Yamal did have an opportunity to round the Alaves goalkeeper. I think it was a combination play between him and Lewandowski, but unfortunately it just hits the bar, and Barcelona were not able to get that third goal, which I felt would have put all of us at ease, because make no mistakes, even though that we were 2-1 up at this point, I was still a little bit nervous, because again, we do have a penchant for conceding goals, and the way that our defense was not really giving me, how do you say, confidence, especially when you think about things like the dead balls, the set pieces that Alaves were trying to put together. I would have been a little bit more comfortable if Lamine Yamal had scored. Now, Rafinha did have an opportunity himself to score, but he did miss, and it's not really a miss on his part. It's more like a beautiful piece of goalkeeping from the Alaves goalkeeper, because Rafinha was trying to round the goalkeeper when we again went direct, and the goalkeeper just puts out an outstretched leg, and he just kind of takes the ball a little bit away from goal. And listen, Rafinha could do no wrong for me. The second half too, from Barcelona was a little bit different and a little bit more shocking from the Alaves team, because I would have thought that they want to come out in the second half to challenge Barcelona a bit more, but instead they drop a little bit more deep, allowing Barcelona to have a little bit more possession. Actually, a giant, share of the possession in the second half, which kind of opened. For a time, I felt they were a bit compact, I would admit to that. But then after you're chasing the ball for a good 70 minutes, it just becomes a little bit exhausting. And then we started to see pockets of spaces where Barcelona were exploiting Alaves to no man's business. There were opportunities where Danny Olmo could have scored a couple of goals. He did not take it, and I was, side-eyeing him, but it's not important at this point. He did end up getting the third goal for Barcelona, when he ended up, again, he was heavily involved in that third goal where Alaves makes a loose ball situation. He picks it up, combines with, I want to say, Lamine Yamal, but I may be wrong here. And then he just gets the return ball, and he has an acre of space where he's able to slot the ball past the goalkeeper, and it's 3-1 for Barcelona. And it's only at this point that I'm able to now breathe. Reason being, there was no way that Alaves would be able to come back and take a point from Barcelona. I also want to make an honorary mention of Pedri, who came onto this game and was able to influence the game. It's just as if he never left. He comes in, he's dancing, Pedri Potter on full display. He's making moves that he's just a joy to watch. I'm sorry, I love me some Pedri too. Watching him today is we've missed you, and I I understand what Hansi Flick is saying when you say you're about to see the best version of Barcelona. You know what we get our best players back. We get Pedri back. We do get Rafinha back. You can see that they make immediate impact, because when Pedri is on the field, the midfield is a totally different ball game. And so I was so happy to see that from Barcelona today. It was a total display. It was the kind of display that I wanted them to have, especially coming off that loss to Chelsea. I was happy about it. Now, granted, it was not all the way joy. You know, that conceding that goal in the first minutes of play is something that I want us to take a little bit more look at. We cannot be ball watching like that against better teams. We cannot allow ourselves to be, caught up in a dead ball situation like that. There are better teams that would not give us this opportunity to come back like Alaves did, so I want us to, take a little bit more look into that. Alaves had an opportunity here and there to be able to break the Barcelona high line. It's something, again, I want them to look into, to be a little bit more tight, to be a little bit more compact, because there were there were moments in that second half, one moment in that second half where Joan Garcia had to really step up big to prevent a disastrous situation for Barcelona. So again, that level of focus is something that I really want them to look into a little bit more from the defensive side of things. But from the attacking side of things, maintaining this level of intensity that Rafinha brings to the pitch is something that I want them to make as a habit. Rafinha is such an intense player. Even when he was on the sideline, he was still, pushing the players and willing them on and stuff like that. And I love to see it. I love to see what he brings to us on the pitch, and I love to see what he brings to us off the pitch. And I wish I had more players who go with him. I want to see the level of Lamine Yamal that we saw today. He was scintillating. He was sensational. He was dancing and weaving and doing all of these things. I want to see this level of Lamine Yamal going forward into the rest of the season. Ultimately, it was a good game from Barcelona. 3-point, very efficient win. We go top of the table until, of course, Real Madrid play Girona tomorrow, and then we'll know how things balance. So this has been it for me in this game. Let me know what you thought about this game. I don't need to tell you who I think was the best player of the game. I think this was a Rafinha glazing session. He did end up winning man of the match though, so it's not just me who thought he was great. But let me know who did it for you in the comment section as well. And until next time, bye guys.